All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. All right, so I'm back, making some adjustments here as I prepare to draw another commission. Actually, this is actually a commission for someone that I owed a commission to, and I was a little late, so well, was more than a little late actually. But I'm putting together something here where it's basically compensation for her time. She's from out of town, way out of town, out in Ireland, and I just appreciate her so much. And I want to just do this really cool thing. She asked for me to draw her as a female version of Thor, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do exactly, and I don't know, I'm not sure yet, but I'm gonna figure it out along the way. So I guess I'm gonna start off with basic things like the head shape. Well, I guess I should start off with the concept more than that. I usually default to head shapes and drawing heads and stuff, and that usually gets me in trouble because then I end up not really finding my way through the idea very easily. I guess I should sharpen my pencil a little bit. And there we go. Nice sharp pencil. I use a Kohl Erase, there you are, Carmine Red pencil. I have my trusty white eraser here because it's just kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, so let's get to drawing. Let's see if I can just start. Maybe I'm thinking of some kind of pose, some kind of action pose, kind of maybe vixenish, you know, since she's kind of she's a cool lady, and but she's got a little, I see a little bit of a wild side to her. And I'm gonna start off with this general egg shape that I learned to draw from my mother and John Buscema on How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. It's amazing how that has transcended as far as my resources after all these years. Yeah, it's years now. Anyway, so I'm also gonna do a little, something I don't usually do, is the skeleton, just so I can have a, I don't do it usually because I'm usually more confident in what I'm going to do, but since this is not a direct, you know, hey, draw Wonder Woman and doing this, or draw Batman doing that, I don't usually draw female Thor. So, you know, I kind of know what a Thor would do. What does a female Thor do? Alright, so I kind of did the spine. I have a little bit of an idea about where that's kind of going. Kind of want to give her some sexy curves, so I'm picking the typical S curve, you know, line of action, if you will. I figured that'd be the most cool way to do it. I got you know, got some breast shapes here to kind of put in place. I've got she's an attractive girl, and I want to make sure that I bring that out in this illustration. Now it looks like I might be trying a little something different here. As I'm drawing, I create for myself this neat shape where the hip is kind of coming up, almost as though she were maybe doing some kind of flight maneuver or something like that. So I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to continue. This is kind of cool. Let's see. I hope you guys can see that. I'm going to raise this up so you can see a little bit better. Like I said, I'm drawing a red pencil. The reason why I do that, obviously a lot of comic artists adapted the blue pencil from animation, and that has been a great tool in the past, but I've always been a little bit confused about how to use it, mainly because it doesn't always do what it's supposed to do. And in the past, those blue lines, I tend to draw real heavy. It wasn't until years ago that I met this girl I work with now, actually. She's a daughter of an architect, and she taught me. Actually, she didn't even show me, but she just did it in the way she was drawing, this lighter touch. So unfortunately, that is what I use these days, and so what you see isn't very strong. But back in the old days, when I first used the blue pencils, those pencils, man, they are annoying. They don't seem to draw very well, and then you try to erase something, you can't seem to get anything done. So I stayed away from them for years, and I went back to using just regular graphite. And then I kept seeing stuff, and a friend of mine gave me a red pencil years ago, or at least a mechanical pencil with some red leads, and it was actually a pretty great gift, and I was fascinated with this idea of red, and I always liked it, but I wasn't really sure how far to take that. All right, long story short, the reason why I use red and not blue is not because my friend gave it to me. Okay, see, I have a very long abdomen here. I'm not crazy, but I have to adjust that. So, first, the reason why I use Coal Erase as the brand of choice, as far as I'm concerned, is because, let me get you, there you go, a little better, a little commercial there for the company, is because these pencils are erasable, and so they're not perfect, but whenever I need to strike a mark or something like that, as long as my touch is light enough, I can make adjustments pretty easily. I'll grab my old trusty brush, wipe that off. And and so the reason why I use not blue is because the blue, as it was most of the time, even in the Coal Erase brand, they're nice, and they're erasable, but I don't know, something about the blue, I think it's the tonal value against the white page. It's so similar in tonal value that I can't see it, which is good if that's what you wanted to do, is to make it disappear. But I was really kind of wanting to, I need to see it still. And so what's great about the red is that, yeah, it's kind of, it's not as light as the blue, but it does create it does create a barrier. I'm getting over a cold. I just broke it today, so I'm back to action here, trying to catch up with some stuff that I owe people. But anyway, it just something about the red just really works. When I go into the inking stage, I can see it pretty good, and I don't it doesn't bother me that the red's there, because I can actually erase it pretty well. And then when I scan it and I eliminate it, use the colors using hue saturation, it just comes out pretty easy. It doesn't affect my illustration very much at all. Very minimal adjustments beyond the typical adjustments. So that's my pitch for the red pencil. I'm just a weirdo like that, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, so so far, our trusty female lead here. I'm drawing through right now. I'm trying to draw where the knee's going to go and the rest of the leg. I think I've given her a decent looking, kind of sexy-ish flight pose. I grew up, I should say, artistically grew up. I grew up on John B. Sema as a kid, and partly because I recognized his work from the book that I mentioned earlier, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, after looking at so many comics that he did that I didn't even pay attention to his name. And I think though, I'm sorry, I wasn't even paying attention there. I lost you. I've been drawing off the screen here. I grew up on him, but then as I got older, I noticed, I guess because of the Jim Lee's X-Men run and that kind of stuff. I joined the Army in 1991. That was right after Jim Lee had just come into the industry, and he had just done that X-Men cover where it was like the gatefold cover, or multiple covers making one cover, blah blah blah, and he had just ended his normal stint on Uncanny X-Men. And after him, I was the one I really latched onto was Mark Silvestri, or Silvestri, however you pronounce that. I've never spoken to him in person, so I'm not really sure. But anyway, always really enjoying that work. I think that's really kind of crept into my stuff, and it was just at a pivotal time in my development artistically, and that I caught on. So I tend to draw very, as my buddy Chip says, very imagey. And sometimes I take that offensively, not necessarily for my friendship. I know what he means, but I don't know. I don't like that feeling too much. I always kind of felt like, it wasn't really you know, I guess it's because it's so dated now, that look, you know, the whole Rob Liefeld phenomenon stuff, or not. But anyway, on the other hand, though, I just like, you know, there is a quality to it that there's a reason why it stuck out for me. So I don't know, not so concerned about that anymore. I figure I just take advantage of it, whatever it is that I got going on, and just kind of take advantage of it. Use it to my advantage as much as I can, and try to make sense of it along the way if I can. You know, doesn't always pay off, but some people don't like that look, but some people do. All right, so notice this little S I'm kind of doing here. This is my attempt at trying to reconfigure her alignment of her body, because my character here is twisting in midair. I'm gonna figure out where the torque is from her rib cage to her hips, and so I don't know. So far, so good, I suppose. And something to consider when you're drawing human anatomy and the woman's body. Some things we've been talking about lately about just paying attention. Sometimes maybe you might feel this way as well. There were times I just didn't know what I was doing, or I should say I didn't know what was wrong with my work. And sometimes these mysterious things, like, man, I wish why do my women look so masculine? Well, it's because I spent most of my life drawing half-naked men, or men in spandex. Didn't really seem to matter too much to me, what the idea of drawing women. I don't know why exactly. You would think that might be a little awkward. I'm gonna pause right here because I'm not gonna draw those circles there. That's just embarrassing. But it looks pretty cool in the abdomen. I'm drawing a female version of Thor. She wants to be a female version of Thor. I might mix it up a little bit, change some things around, but I like the classic Thor anyway. So that's why I'm drawing in some of the typical in John Buscema flair boot knee things. I don't know, what are those things? Some sort of bootlet, boot knee, whatever. Anyway, so so I'm just trying to figure out, make sure that she's torquing this direction. And so I want to make sure that I show the twist, but also her legs are still coming this direction. So there's some bendy happening here. Yeah, I would look and say, man, why do my women look so masculine? And I think it's because I spent so much time drawing women or men, thinking that was the typical human physique. It never occurred to me that women actually have different placements for their body parts. We're all human, of course, but we don't all look the same, obviously. One of the things that I struggled with as well was just not being able to recognize those differences has been my challenge. Besides that, you know. So yeah, so image, you know, I guess I don't mind it so much anymore. It doesn't bother me to be called that. Some people have compared my style to Jim Lee-ish style, and obviously I don't draw like Jim Lee, but you know, he's great in his own right. I'm not pretending that at all. But I do think, however, that I can see that what they mean is this. I don't know, and honestly, I have not really figured out what it is about this work that looks like Jim Lee. Like I'm still working on it. I think I have some ideas. I think I have some ideas as to how some of this work is reminiscent of a Jim Lee, but that's difficult to peg down because of so many different factors. Obviously, I'm just drawing some straps on these boots, kind of a la classic Thor. I'm going to do a combination of, this is perfect for my ADD. I didn't take my medication, that's why I'm all over the place, guys. Yes, I take ADD medication because I am crazy like that, but happy too. Anyway, so yeah, I don't mind it, the label, as long as it's made in constructive commentary. One of my biggest issues is people that can't articulate their views, their ideas. I had a teacher, I may have mentioned this before, who said that she was never a fan of the things I did. It was my only art class I took besides going to an art tech school for graphic design. Her name was Miss LaKayla. Miss LaKayla, great lady. She was a large woman, I mean, tall and just larger than you would expect. And she was a great artist, and she, well, not that that means anything, you know what I'm saying. She was a great artist, and she has some very specific opinions. And she would say, I don't like your subject matter, but I like your technique. And I appreciate that. I always did. I felt that was a very fair observation. Even though I was younger, I didn't really know how to express that. I thought that was pretty cool. Hey, since this is a female Thor, and since I am trying to do like another version of her for my friend here, I'm gonna go ahead and accentuate this. This is gonna be pretty cool. She might appreciate this. Again, she one of her reference photos show her in an interesting costume as a black cat. I thought, yeah, she might appreciate this. I'm gonna give her a little bit of a cleavage here deal to kind of set her up there. All right, nice. Nothing too much. I mean, it's a lot, but besides that, I'm just saying. Anyway, yeah, so objective commentary is what I like. I'm not a big fan of people that try to, bust your chops. They take the opportunity to shoot daggers at you. I think that's unnecessary, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of great work, even if they're not to your liking. There's always something appealing or something generally decent about the work. And so it doesn't help to be so condescending or so rude. I mean, the idea of a critique is to critique and build, is to build up the person to get better. Now, some people, which is ironic, some people have another problem. Excuse my sniffling here. Still remnants of my cold. Another problem, and that is that some people are just generally, they just don't believe that there's anything wrong with them, that they don't have any, they're not sure, and that's a scary place to be as far as I'm concerned, because that seems to give the wrong impression. If you can't be honest with yourself, then you're never going to be able to grow. It's like these people on American Idol. I don't know if should I say that out loud? I guess I shall. That they go on these shows and they don't know why they're not picked, and they leave ultra frustrated, as though there was some ulterior motive. Like, oh my gosh, they must not like me. They're haters. That expression has been used to death. There are such things as haters, but not everybody's a hater. Come on, man. Some of it has got to be, you're jacked up. You got to figure it out. And if you don't spend that time, if you don't know how to look for those kinds of things, you're going to always be lost. And that is a terrible feeling, because you just never know. I'm going to give her a little bit of a choker, I think, just to make her look a little more feminine there. Give her some earrings too, because any Gods of Thunder needs to look nice. Anyway, yeah, it's just I don't know. It always bothered me that some people can never take a critique, or didn't think that they were worthy of a critique. But on the other hand, there are people who take advantage of the critique and try to use it as a means to derail people or to ridicule them. That's not good. That's not helpful. Sometimes you meet people and they're just, like I said, they're so full of themselves, they don't realize that they have flaws that need to be worked on. But that is very annoying to me. But I guess what I'm trying to say, we all need to learn how to give critiques and take critiques if we're indeed looking to grow. Anyway, all right. So before I go too much further, I better go consult my references and build up some get some likeness stuff happening here before I go too far. As I'm talking, I didn't even realize how much time has gone by, and frankly, I got a lot done here last couple minutes, I suppose. So before that goes away from me, let me make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, which is to use this as almost a portrait. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be. I don't have any printout photos. I'm just going to be using what I have on my computer screen, so you won't be able to see it. But just stay with me. So I may have to stop this video in a moment and come back, but we'll talk soon. Thanks.